In the studio with me today, I have Dr. Irinel and Dr. Lillian, two incredible doctors, two incredible friends. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Caroline.
And we're going to talk about menopause. And first of all, just quickly tell us who you are, what your professions are, what kind of doctors you are.
I'm Irinel Stanciu. I'm an endocrinologist, and I had a previous internal medicine training, and I do see mostly outpatient endocrine issues like menopause, thyroid, adrenal, PCOS, and I enjoy working with you because I learned a lot from your books.
I'm Lillian Robertson. I am a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist. I was in private practice for about 22 years, and now I work as an employed obstetrician at St. Joseph's Medical Center in Tacoma, Washington.
Beautiful.
And so my experience has been working with women from womb to tomb.
I love that. I love it when you say that, Lillian. You're such a good friend and such an inspiration, both of you. The way that you really see you two, the biggest thing that I think is amazing about, besides all your knowledge, is the fact that you really connect with your patients and you see the importance of mind.
Yes. The
mind involvement being this huge component, and not just a little component, being the up to 75 to 98% of the component in a person's healing. So we thank God for medicine, we thank God for doctors and the science that you bring, but there's so much of a mind component too. So today I want to talk all about this stuff in terms of menopause. Let's talk about, I get so many questions on menopause, and I can tell it from a mind perspective how to manage it, and I know it does work and help, but we need if you can talk to it from professional.
Well, when we think about menopause, we think about a woman's menstrual cycle that has ceased for at least 12 months. So if a woman is past a certain age, has not had a menstrual cycle for 12 months, then we deem that to be menopause. And what happens during that time is the levels of estrogen in her body is minimal. And so when that happens, there are symptoms that occur during that time. Interestingly enough, you can have symptoms that mimic menopause during the perimenopausal years. So you've not quite reached menopause, you still may have a cycle or two during the year. Yeah. And so that's what we call perimenopause. And so some of those symptoms can start to begin.
And they can go on for as long as a year?
Going on for as long as a year until you've stopped having periods officially for a full year. The symptoms that I'm describing are called vasomotor symptoms, which means that hot flashes, most women know, private summers where you are sitting and all of a sudden there's a palpitation, race in the heartbeat, hot flashes, and brain fog and all that stuff can happen.
Night sweats.
Night sweats can happen during that time. And so it's a season in a woman's life where she's physically changed. She's not able to become pregnant on her own. Her fertility years are over. So psychologically and emotionally, it takes it takes its toll on a woman.
So this is something, menopause is something that is normal. So, it's almost like woman feels abnormal. It's almost like we've been conditioned in society today to say, oh, it's this dreading, this terrible thing. Meanwhile, it's an incredible time of a woman's life. Obviously, it's a good thing. Yeah. So we definitely need help in terms of how to manage this well. And I get so much of that. And I try and help people mentally, as you know, with the mind stuff and diet and exercise and just seeing it with a positive attitude, because if you're optimistic about how you're functioning, you're going to influence your bodily health. And it's definitely helped, but there definitely is a need for the gynecological and endocrinological guidance in this process. This is knowledge and science that God's given us. So
we were talking earlier that puberty and menopause are not new.
No, they've been around. They've been around. They've been around.
Humans were around, and there was not such a
embrace it.
Not such a tragedy with teenagers or menopausal women. 2,000 years ago.
So what's changed?
So what's changed? I think the perception.
That's good.
Of this transition. We have several seasons in lives, and we transition through seasons, but I think we are bombarded with the ideal woman, ideal teenager, ideal image. I think we have so many things that bombard our brain that of course we're under stress, we're under attack, and that's what I'm thinking. There are more symptoms, more physical symptoms, but of course there can be trauma at home, or can be trauma in the work relationships. can be all these psychological things, other disorders, you know, a husband that's sick or a child that goes through cancer treatment, you know, can be so many things. Because I have women, you know, I see them for osteoporosis or other issues, and they never had, you know, they're 70 and they're like, oh, I had a little bit of, you know, and it's like, oh, not a big issue. But I noticed the association of them being very well fit, very good support, good attitude, you know. So you see, evidently, I don't have a research study in my office, but you see this trend.
You're seeing it daily. I mean, you're seeing it, anything that's evidence in itself, is that you're seeing it daily. For both of you been practicing for years.
Yeah,
you know,
one of the things that I think is also important too is for husbands and men to understand what's happening to the woman. So physiologically, there are changes that are happening in a woman's body. Her estrogen levels are much lower, which means that there's some ways of thinking changes, physical changes in our bodies. And so when we're measuring ourselves up to the next woman, then that could be a problem. When we're measuring ourselves to a woman that's in a different season in her life,
it's a problem.
There then can be a problem. So we have to make sure that we have the right mindset and see it not as a disease, not as a problem, but this is a time that we can embrace as women.
Yes.
So our mindset towards managing menopause first has to start with how we see ourselves, how we embrace. And it's, you know, you'd rather have menopause than not be alive at all.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's an alternative.
That's beautiful. Have a good attitude.
That's a good trade-off, because a good attitude towards it really impacts how you respond to it and how you walk through that season.
Goodness. So I'm hearing both of you brilliant doctors saying that our mind plays a massive role in the management. So we use mind with medicine, and we have the combination of, and you're not only saying mind and medicine, we're talking about mind, medicine if necessary, and diet, exercise, lifestyle, all the things that require work, which in today's age we know is people would rather just have the tablets.
I think it's very important, you know, especially the American diet full in, you know, processed foods and, you know, sugars in any form or shape, and sometimes hidden sugars. Like I have patients drinking soda with 0 calories, thinking that that's
they're
healthy.
Not having sugar.
It's like that's lots of sugars in there,
and bad stuff that's wrecking and disturbing the brain.
And they don't exercise because, you know, 100 years ago not everybody had a car, and they were doing a lot of gardening and other, you know, physical work. So now we move less. We eat more, we get addicted by that addictive diet, and of course we're going to have more symptoms because of a natural process. I cannot say it's a disease, even though
so we've messed up a natural process. That's really what's happening, what you're both saying.
And then we
come
with hormones and other things, and we do use it, you know, if the symptoms are very, you know, pronounced. I'm not totally opposed to it, and you may prescribe them even more.
You're absolutely right, Dr. Irinel. What we are noticing now in our practices as gynecologists, we're lending more towards getting away from, you know, the pharmaceuticals as it relates to menopause. There's some recent studies that are showing that there may be some increased risk with breast cancer, and particularly risk among women that may have histories of blood clots. And then some women just want to take it the natural way. And they want to embrace the changes that life brings them, and they're very comfortable with that. So what we're doing now is we're really working with women, and I've done this in my practice, and it's been very, very successful, is to have them first embrace this season in
Love it. So the mindset change.
The mindset changes.
Which is what
you know, don't fight it, embrace it, understand it.
Beautiful.
And walk
get your
into
husband
it.
to understand
and get your
kids
husband to understand it. And just everybody understands this is what's happened. This is a new season. I'm still a mom. I'm still a wonderful person, but I'm in a different season.
Beautiful.
And so as they walk with you through that, then there's some things that you mentioned, Dr. Irinel, in terms of just lifestyle changes that really impact these women. We notice now that, you know, and you mentioned I was a pastor's wife earlier, but I see now, even in my congregation, these ladies that when we change their diet,
they change
and get them off of the sugar and
watch the modern American diet,
modern American diet,
eat real food,
the fast food, eat real food, they feel better. You know, one of the big complaints they all have is, of course, hot flashes and the lack of sleep. And so if we can work with them and then encourage women to exercise during this time,
it's so good,
because not only are there changes, you know, emotionally, but physiologically, the bones are thinning during this time.
So there's a
so we're supplementing, we're encouraging calcium, we're encouraging exercise,
and that can come through through diet.
It comes through diet.
Yeah.
It comes through
Lifestyle
diet.
change.
Comes through weight resistance training, and so there's exercise and walking, things that you can do to strengthen your bones, but mainly cutting back on the carbs. It's amazing.
Now, isn't that, I remember, because I've got got quite a few friends that are OBGYNs, and I remember the one explaining to me that when you eating the modern American diet, you put on weight, your fat cells are actually producing more estrogen as well. So you've got, and it's abnormal amounts, so the more extra weight, there we go, and that's contributing to the abnormality of the hot flashes. And
and it's contributing to the hot flashes, and it's the real problem is contributing to the weight gain. So one of the things that most women talk about is the abdominal, the midsection, and that's the dangerous type of
that's very dangerous,
because that's where the lipid diseases can occur. We call it the metabolic syndrome, where ladies will have increased risk of hypertension, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, and fatty liver disease.
Which are life-threatening.
It puts you at increased risk for heart disease, and so that's why we see a greater risk of heart disease in this age of women, because when we work on changing our diet and we work on exercising, we lower our risk for all of those factors,
which is really important. It's kind of back to lifestyle. And you also, sorry, go ahead. And what about surgically induced menopause? I mean, that can happen as well. So, for example, I had a situation like that. I'm 54 now, and 4 years ago, I had a surgery, a major surgery that I had to have for pelvic organ prolapse, which is another thing that we need to have a show about, because a lot of women are walking around with pelvic organ prolapse and they don't need to. And it was stage 4, it was really bad. And I come from a family that doesn't experience menopausal symptoms. My mother didn't even know she had there was no, my sisters haven't, and suddenly from one day to the next I had hot flashes up to 17 times a day. At night time I would wake up to 15, 16 times a night, was pouring with sweat, and it was my OBGYN told me it was from the it was literally
now one of the things that happens, Caroline, is when you have surgical menopause before you actually have gone into physiological menopause, the natural time. So you've actually cut short,
accelerated it.
You've accelerated
straight
it,
into
right?
that,
You shot straight in it from fertility years to menopause,
like it was boom
within an hour,
within that's exactly.
And so
what
it's
happened.
shocking on your body, and so your symptoms sometimes can be worse, because what happens with the natural menopause is there's a decrease. It's a decrease,
where slow decrease. That makes a lot of sense.
So you just jump from just right into the frying pan, and so your symptoms were perhaps dramatic.
But I had a dramatic control of them when I started BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which I have done every 3 months, and that has completely reversed all symptoms.
And that's a good way to do it, because it matches physiologically what your body's actually doing.
You to talk about.
And when you have bioidentical, sometimes we use salivary testing, sometimes we use blood testing to see what matches you specifically. And there are more studies that are really working with patients' genetics to see what your genes say you would need to help to match that even better.
Which is fantastic.
But it's safer than what we sometimes with the pharmaceutical companies.
Exactly, because that comes from urine from a horse.
Horses.
Yeah, which is totally unnatural and synthetic as well. So it's a bit of
But see, you were very good in exercise and with a very good diet, so you needed a little bit of medication to kind of help with that sudden transition. But you did the other, two.
The other two, my lifestyle change in my mind.
Unfortunately, in some menopausal women, they may still smoke, and then they come with estrogen replacement. And that combination increases the cardiovascular disease and risk for breast cancer,
strokes,
so many other things. And of course, in breast cancer, and I experienced breast cancer, I could not have, estrogen replacement. So there are some medications, that can help you. Of course, for short term.
Yes.
And I had to take a little bit of Effexor. It's an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, not for the moodiness, but for the hot flashes at night. There are data in health, in breast cancer women, because it was a sudden, again, I had to have major surgery. Surgical menopause. But again, you cannot stay on, sleeping pills and stuff like that.
It's a temporary thing to get your hot flashes under control.
So it's important to know that there's a difference. Surgical menopause.
That's what I wanted to mention versus natural menopause.
Because there's a decline, but in surgical there's just a sudden cutoff of the hormone levels.
You two are incredible. I just wish every doctor would learn from you, because the way you explain things and the way that how many people you help through this. I mean, I really would love you to come back and share more, because this is powerful life saving stuff. Thank you so much for being here today, and I want to have you back again.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.